Hello and good evening for everybody who's going to be listening to this during back. We have a couple items for sale on smallarmsolutions.com. To go check those out. They support the channel and they're great buys. And one of them has been reduced in price. So go to smallarmsolutions.com and check those two things out.
Good evening. Chicago. Bozeman. Bozeman, that is where Noreen Firearms is. I visited there once. Arkansas, Georgia, Nebraska, Baytown.
We had a lot of Texans in the raffle. Every time I saw it, I was like, ooh, Texas.
PA.
I even have wine after a long day. Chris has pumpkin beer.
Bel Air, Maryland. Pennsylvania.
For all of you that are coming in and anxious for the raffle, we are going to do that in a few minutes. I would like to give more people the opportunity to come on in. And hey, Adnan. Adnan bought some tickets. I put his in there today. I did all the raffle tickets today, and sorry for being late, but I was trying to finish up all the tickets, and yeah, I was a little behind today. But we're going to give it a few more minutes for the raffle. We're going to answer some questions first. And we'll get to the raffle after we, get, the number goes up a little bit so that, everybody can participate in that. I will be taking, like last time, if anybody wants a last minute ticket sale, I do have slips here ready to go. And I have my phone here, and I'll be doing my thing over here on the side that you guys don't usually see. I normally don't come on, but you're getting a little bit of me tonight just because tonight's raffle night. But
Egypt. I was in Cairo about 3 years ago. Absolutely loved it.
Thank you for the compliment.
Absolutely beautiful.
So I don't like to be on screen.
And I had some awesome shisha there too. Awesome shisha.
Okay, Chris. Okay, we're going to get started since we're running behind. If you guys would like to donate tonight, we certainly would appreciate that. It supports the channel. We do not do sponsorships or paid endorsements of any kind, even though they are offered to us. We don't do it. We are completely viewer funded, and we appreciate you. And these raffles and things like that are what keeps the channel moving and going forward. So we appreciate everybody who contributed. If you'd like to make a question tonight, you can. We don't just take paid questions. You can put that in the chat line. But if you would like to donate, you can do that two ways. The super chat function is with the $sign, and it'll just bump you up to the top, and you'll get priority over all the other questions that are coming in. Our preferred method is donor box because Google does take 30% of your donations, which is quite a bit. That link for donor box is on smallarmsolutions.com, but I'm going to go ahead and pop it into the chat line as well so that you have it there, and you can use that for the entirety of the Q&A, and it'll be the same way. I'll get an email, and you'll bump the line of questions coming in because there should be quite a bit of people in here tonight, I would think, wanting to see who won. And last year, guy won. He only bought one ticket, and he won. So it's anybody's game, and if anybody has any last minute ticket sales, I will be taking them up until the drawing. So here we go, guys. First up for tonight is Kirk on Durbox. Thank you, Kirk. He had a question last week about his nephew's 18th birthday, and he's just found out that he does not want an M16A4 clone, but does want an ancient LWRCI M6 piston carbine from back of safe that is as old as he is. What spare part should he consider?
Well, I probably would say the operating rod and the ring that goes behind it. That's probably the only part that I've seen break. However, that was the older generation. I have the new individual carbine, and I shot the piss out of it. So the new production ones are not a problem at all. Basically, it will be just the one parts that I would say would be your any of your operating rod parts. Just the springs. I can't really see and the rest of the parts are pretty much all compatible with a standard M16 M4. So not really too much.
And his second question is, I have a friend that heard you describe and hopefully forthcoming about a 7.62 rifle from Centurion Arms that will be an AR-10 format. Does this in itself preclude the use of SR-25 magazines? He already has a tub of them, and he wanted to know if he needs to get another tub.
No, the ones that mine is going to be making are taking SR-25 magazines. The biggest holdup right now on that is bolt carrier groups. Bolt carrier groups are hard to come by. I think mine is probably going to try because they're so hard to come by.
Michael on Donor Box, thank you, Michael. For a mid to heavy fire schedule AR, would you say hammer forging or barrel thickness is more important? Also, a carbine or mid-length gas system, being a quote mag dump rifle for myself and friends and family.
Well, I would actually do both the Colt hammer forge and a heavy barrel, like the SOCOM type barrel or one of the heavier pro barrels, because the whole point of that is dispersing the heat for as far as is doing magazine dumps, not having cook-offs and so forth. So it's really both. The Colt hammer forging will give you a longer longevity for for accuracy, but the thicker the barrel is, the more the heat's going to disperse, and it's going to make your time for cook-off a hell of a lot longer, and be able to go more rounds before you hit cook-off.
He also wanted you to know that he wrote that while at Whataburger,
Oh.
which is where Chris will probably be after this is over, because I haven't had a chance to make dinner. What do you think of the Geisley Super Duty rifle?
You know what? You'll see that when's that one coming up?
I just scheduled a bunch of videos. Yeah. That is going to be up. Tomorrow is going to be the CZ Bryn versus the Scar.
Yep.
Correct? Yeah. Okay. And then Wednesday is going to be the Geisley.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, there's your answer. You're going to have a complete, detailed answer on a video coming up.
Would a pencil barrel on a Colt AR-15A2 burn out faster than the standard Colt S9 6920 if both rifles were put under the same shooting conditions?
No. The overall thickness under the handguard is the exact same. The thickness from the muzzle forward is not going to do a damn bit of difference. Generally, the carbines will go a little bit longer before they blow than the rifles will. The rifles, again, you're getting your peak heat and everything from the full burn of the propellant. But for as far as the thickness is concerned, the government profile barrel with the heavier end on the from the front sight base forward does absolutely nothing to enhance the rifle. The sole purpose of that was supposedly to keep the barrels from bending when paratroopers dropped on them. They do absolutely nothing to increase accuracy. They do nothing to increase the strength of the barrel, and they do nothing to increase cook-off or to disperse heat any better.
Can you recommend a good manufacturer for a threaded barrel for Smith & Wesson MP9EZ?
Faxon. I probably would say Faxon for a standard barrel. I would also probably say I'm pretty sure Silencer Co makes them as well if you're using a can. But I'm a big fan of Faxon barrels.
Looks like just half of you. I'm sure as I drink this wine on an empty stomach, it'll be more of me. But right now, I'm just kind of hiding over here. Let's see. Thoughts on the 9mm carbine for home defense?
Certainly. So you do a little bit more over penetration. Trying to find some bullets that are more frangible, or some good hollow point projectiles that'll work in your particular gun. But yeah, absolutely, 9mm is perfectly suitable for home defense.
Yes, we've heard this before. Give the quality manufacturer and do a Bertocci edition rifle.
We looked into that before. I tried specking out all the parts and everything
years ago,
and it would be so expensive. It's not like I can go to one manufacturer and say just building a rifle using your parts. The rifles that I've chosen, they have very specific parts that were chosen from different areas for specific reasons. It would be very, very difficult to be able to do that. I possibly could do something like that with Monty Leclerc over Centurion Arms. Because he'd be able to handle definitely the upper and lower, but some of the other smaller parts we'd have to outsource from somebody else, and that's a little more difficult, just like the bullet carrier groups. The bullet carrier group I would be using would be the Smith Enterprises Chrome Carrier, and I have to buy like 200 of those at once for him to be able to do a run for me. It just, as I said, you have to do it. The cost would be outrageous.
No, I don't think that's off the table. that's something that's probably going to be more on my end to try to figure out how we can do it. And I'm pretty good at figuring those things out. Right now, my time is pretty overwhelmed with uh, Black Rifle stuff that's going on. What modifications to pistol length AR would you recommend to increase its service life and reliability?
Well, first off is the hammer that I worked on with mine over Centurion Arms, which is modified so the back end is cut off. That would be the first thing because that's going to increase your life of the hammer pins. It's going to increase reliability. That would be very, very important. Two would be stainless steel hammer trigger pins. Make sure that you have a really good, strong disconnector spring. Make sure that you have a good bolt catch that has a proper hole in the receiver so it doesn't get caught. And make sure you have the proper buffer, the longer buffer, so you don't have the issue with the trigger compartment being open. I have a video out that states it gives you all this information on the AR pattern carbine that I built. It goes over all those issues. But the difference is that hammer vault along with mine and the clear for the 9mm Colt pattern rifles, and what a difference it makes on the feel of the trigger too, because you don't get that trigger slap from that tail of that hammer smacking into the back of the trigger.
Have they ever made an AR-10 in a 306?
Never heard of it. No. That's not saying it couldn't be done. I mean, as long as the cartridge case is based off of the 308 cartridge case, you can do anything you want.
If you had to choose between a 1980 SP1 or a Green Label 6550 Government Edition,
I'd probably go with the government edition just because of the fact I can use my Mark 262 ammunition.
can you swap complete M16 bolt carrier groups between the rifles without checking headspace?
Most of the time on properly made mil-spec parts, yes. It's always a good idea if you have access to the space gauges just to check it. I have yet to run into a problem with it unless I have parts that are out of spec, which is why I only buy certain parts.
What would cause a BCG to bind in an upper?
Well, if the inside of the upper receiver was not drilled true and it went off to one side, that's an issue. If the hole in the rear of the receiver extension was not drilled properly where something could scrape, that could be an issue. If you had an oversized bolt carrier on the ass end, that could cause it to scrape. Those are your main. It's generally it's things that are out of spec. Or of course, if you're say you're no, that wouldn't be a problem because you would close your receiver. Those are your main issues that would cause that.
Mad Veteran on Donor Box. Thank you so much, Mad Veteran. That's a generous donation. Do you know anything about the Glock 21 SFs with a 1913 rail that came out some years back? And if so, what was the story behind those?
Basically, it was to have 1913 rails. It was the first time Glock did their non-proprietary rail. There was also the way the grip was that allowed your finger to go further forward, the way the rear of the grip was. It really wasn't that special. It also had an ANB magazine release. If you guys see the Glock magazines, 21 magazines, it has a piece in the front, a tab in the front. That's what it was for the SF. It was a neat gun, but you have to be careful of the magazines to make sure you have the proper magazines that have the catch in the front. But that's about what the 21 SF was. SF stood for short frame.
Never owned an AR-15. If quality is my #1 priority, what should I buy as my first rifle?
Well, I'm a big fan of Centurion Arms. That's a really good one for as far as extremely high quality that you're not going to lose everything on. LMT if you can find it. If you want external piston, LWRC is a great way to go. Another great one is the LWRC, what they call their DI. It's an awesome, great bang for your buck.
Is there anywhere I can get a heavy spiral fluted barrel like an LWRC in 308?
I'm not sure what somebody who did some of that spiraling was faxing. You might want to check them out. I don't know if I've ever seen the spiraling for the 308, but I know they do the one they've done them for 5.56 in the past.
Any plans to review the Geisley URGI upper?
If I can ever get my hands on one.
Please do a video about the CZ Brand 2 versus the ARX 160 and 762 by 39 for our special forces.
Well, the only issue is I have both those rifles, but mine are both in 5.56. I don't have either one of them in 7.62 by 39, and they are not the easiest to come across, unfortunately.
Somebody's asking about Black Rifle 3 and how it's coming. I think, it's coming, but, like everything's kind of taken a real pause with COVID, and he's got to travel and
There's a
and
lot of
things like
traveling that's
that.
going to be involved with that project.
So, has he written? Quite a bit, yes. Photography gets to be my job.
Yeah,
Very
that's where
excited.
she has to get
Very excited about
schooled
that.
up on that kind of photography because it's not easy photography.
We actually have on order green screen that's going to be used for JFK documentary, and then also it has white stuff, panels and all of that. And we just ordered all new lights for filming, so things should be brighter now. And so we're moving along the way of gearing up for all the things that we need to take the photographs that we need. But unfortunately, the virus has kind of put everything on I won't even say a pause, it's just on slow speed. Do nickel boron BCGs actually do anything for 5.56 rifles, or are they all marketing?
They are not lubeless. You still have to use lubricant. I'm not a nickel boron fan. I would take, chrome as many of you guys who've known me, chrome is my first choice. My second choice would be the black nitride. And for as far as chrome, it would be the chrome nickel. I'm sorry, the chrome the hell's it, the MP3, the chrome Teflon, the one that's put up by WMD, not the standard nickel boron. Nickel boron, once you use it, it starts tarnishing it, and you start rubbing your finger over it, you'll see that it feels sticky. It lost that lubricity. I'm just not a nickel boron fan. The nickel Teflon is certainly better, but I would definitely go with chrome or black nitride well over the nickel.
What parts and modifications would you recommend to increase service life and reliability of a pistol length AR?
A blank print of the ball game. I do not recommend you ever go below 10.5 inch for a real world defense gun, unless you're looking at maybe 300 blackout. That may work, but your pressures are so high at the time of unlocking. You have such a high risk of failures to extract. With just a little bit amount of gas erosion, you're bringing the system really over. If you're trying to put a Band-Aid on it, you want to make sure that you have yourself a really good extractor spring, extractor buffer. And you definitely want a rubber O-ring on it. Those are very, very important. Make sure you keep that chamber clean, and make sure that you have the best buffer you can in it. But like I said, if you're looking at a pistol length barrel, which is less than 10.5 inches, don't do it.
Kevin on Donor Box, what wrench style or manufacturer is used to tighten the castle nut for the receiver extension? And how is this wrench used to make sure that it did not slip off when tightening to 40? Is that feet per pound?
In pounds.
Okay, he
says 40 pounds. Yes.
Yeah.
There is a tool that I use. It's made by Brownells, where it catches all three or four points. You hold forward on it. The one that Colt had, that we had, I didn't like selling it. The one we had at the factory, because it only held it at 2 points, and the heat treatment wasn't properly, so those would get the edges would get worn off, and it would cause problems. But there's one Brownells has. I wish I could tell you. If you would, I have a video that's specifically on tools, and I do believe that it's in there. But as I said, it comes down, has a screwdriver on the end, on the bottom, I believe it is. And then it comes up, and it comes over, and it holds three different locations that will hold that. And it's just a matter of you holding on tight on the outside, pushing in.
Yes, as far as the JFK documentary is coming, I know I've been teasing that for a really long time, but Chris literally absorbed every single piece of material, research, photograph. He talked to experts. He's gone through everything. And if you guys are new to the ones that are, he was a forensic scientist for 10 years. So he's going to have more of a forensics approach to it than maybe just someone else that's looking at it. We're going to go through all of the
looked at
theories.
as the real evidence.
We're going to look at all of it, and
forensic evidence,
and I
not the
want
bullshit.
him to take you through the twists and turns that he himself went through, because he definitely started to go through some things where he was like going one way and then going the other. And so that's why it's going to be multi-part, so you can kind of go through that journey with him as a forensic scientist, and then get to the very end of what he comes to realize with all of the evidence that's been submitted. So we're very excited for it. We know that the green screen is going to produce much, a different element to the channel, to be able to like really showcase those images. He has some really great stills to put behind him, and do that in a way that's conducive in more of a studio setting, instead of in Dallas on the street with a lot of noise and cars, and especially since it's multi-part. But it's going to be great because it's going to be here in November, and that is the anniversary of the assassination of JFK. So I think it's a and look at it. And I'm playing, and I talked to Chris about it yesterday, that for everyone that's at our $10 and up Patreon level, you're going to get early access to all parts of the videos. And I'm thinking, and I haven't added this yet, so you can't go and do it yet, but I'm also playing around with like a $20 level, and then it's kind of like Netflix, we want all of it all at once. You would unlock all the videos instantly before everybody else. So I'm playing around with doing that, and we'll have more information on that next month. This is going to be our last Q&A for October, because it is our 21st wedding anniversary, and Chris is going to need to get very inebriated to celebrate 21 years of living and working with me. So
when this video
will
is
do
done,
all that in November.
When this JFK video is done, for as far as I'm concerned, this is 100% conclusive. There's no more, there's no question to the actual incident that happened. And again, we're taking this specifically from the firearms evidence, not who was responsible, whether it was the FBI or the Russians or the mob. That's the conspiracy. We're talking about what happened from when the trigger was pulled. So the information you're going to have, so far as I am concerned, is 100% conclusive. There's no room for interpretation.
Recommendation for a 300 black upper for a Colt M4.
There's all good out there. Again, Faxon makes excellent barrels. You give it any per receiver, just drop the Faxon barrel on it. Definitely you're going to go journey with the pistol length. If you're going to be doing a lot of subsonic, if you're doing supersonic, I recommend you just go get one that's carbine length. But the Faxon barrels, even the Aero Precision barrels, are really, really good. There's a lot of really good barrels that are out there.
We're going to take one more question, and then we're going to go into the raffle. We'll still answer more questions after the raffle, but we're going to get into that. You guys waiting on that. But I think you'll like this question. What's the best car or truck you've ever owned? I think I know the answer to it.
Well, we had a Dodge Durango.
I wouldn't have thought that.
No?
No.
Oh, I thought that.
I would have thought it was that first one that you had, the old one that with your dad. And
yeah, well, that's more of a classic. My favorite classic would have been my 1979 Ford F-250. Again, that by today's standards, just was a thing, would pass anything on the road but a gas station. But after that one, probably of all the vehicles I've had, probably would have been that Hemi Dodge Durango, was it 2004, 2005, something like that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that thing was awesome.
I just remember when we met, and I told him I had a 65 Mustang, and he thought I had like some old
I was happy with my Pontiac Grand Am.
He thought I had some old rickety thing, and he was like, "Why are you driving that?" And then he saw it, and he was like, "Oh my god!" It's like, "Yep, that was my first car, a 65 Mustang." It was nice. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, you should really get in there and dig.
I'm going to the very, very bottom.
I've mixed them all up and everything. You can hear. And don't show it, because I don't want to expose like their email and stuff. You can read the name.
I picked up two.
The winner is Sunday Rodriguez. can see it on there. I want to show his whole there it is. Sunday Rodriguez, are you in here? I think I remember putting him.
Yeah, we have no idea how many he bought. But I just went to the bottom and there it was.
I'm going to send you an email Sunday. Okay, while we're waiting for Sunday or to me to email him. Adnan, thank you so much, Adnan. He said, regarding the recently released Centurion Arms PCC trigger that you and Lonnie collaborated on, are there any plans for a select fire version of the new trigger type? Besides that, just wanted to help the channel out for upcoming future projects and ventures. Thank you so much, Adnan.
No, you can't, because you have to have the tail on there to work with the autos here. Unfortunately, the issue that come up with fully automatic, there is generally no way around unless you do what SIG did, where you actually have a guard that goes over the back of the disconnector. If you've seen what the SIG MPX looks like, you'll see that they corrected that issue by putting basically an entire shelf around there so it can't hit, and that will prevent the trigger slap. It's still that will certainly make the issue for as far as the hammer pin worse by it striking that. But no, it's for semi-automatic only, and it does wonders for semi-automatic only. Unfortunately, just the way that the automatic trigger mechanism works on that, there's no way to prevent the issues.
I have emailed Sunday. I don't know if he's in here or not. Doesn't look like it because he hasn't responded. But I have emailed him. If I'm sure he'll respond, but if he doesn't, we're going to keep these names here. And let's say in a couple weeks, if I don't hear back from him, we'll draw again. But I'm pretty sure he's gonna respond. The last guy responded pretty quickly.
Thank you for everybody who participated in this.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all your support and everything. It's really helpful for us, and we like doing this too. It's fun.
And who knows? Maybe we'll find another black rifle too at some point. We'll do another one.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, and hard to come by.
I wish I had a case of them right now. I can make some coin for.
It's luck when you come across them.
Well, actually, we were very fortunate. One of our Patreon members, I don't want to give the name for privacy, but they already had a copy of Black Rifle Sign with our new set, and they forgot that they had like a brand new copy, and offered it to me to buy at the regular list price. So it was really nice of them, and we really appreciate you listening. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff you don't know about. What's your opinion on the HK G3s and more available PTR 91s?
It's funny you mentioned. We will be doing a video on that probably maybe the second or third week of next month. I did a review on the PTR 91, and unfortunately, when time came, when we were taken down by YouTube during that purge, that was probably one of the few videos that we weren't able to save. So it was a very, very early video we did on it. So just last week at the range, we did the shooting with the PTR. It was nice shooting. Thing shot very, very well, but bruised the hell out of my shoulder. But we'll be doing an entire video on the PTR 91, and of course talking about the history of the G3.
I think you mispronounced my name. It sounds nothing like we just announced.
That?
They said, because I called for the Raffle Sunday, they said that's not, you don't get the joke. Meaning I didn't call his name because I'll explain it to him later. He's a little older than me, if you haven't noticed. He doesn't get the joke. Sunday has actually responded, which is funny. They just said thanks. Can you send it here?
Awesome.
I'd be a little bit more, excited, but yeah. Are home-built rifles just as good as factory rifles, assuming you follow torque specs?
Well, that's much just torque specs. You have to make sure your parts are made properly and the parts work together. That's the biggest problem with the home builds. As long as you have good parts and you put it together properly, it will be. You have to make sure that you have your gas block is in line, so you're getting proper gas flow. You have to make sure that those parts fit together so you get a proper gas seal on there so it doesn't leak. You have to make sure that you have a good bolt carrier that stuff that fits together, a tight carrier key. There a lot comes down to there's a lot that has to do with technique, yeah, but you have to have parts that will work together, which is the problem when you're looking at building a gun from parts from many different manufacturers who aren't necessarily using the same tech data.
Thank you, Leon. He's reminding everybody to hit the like button. It destroys the YouTube anti-2A algorithm. Yes, it's free. Hit the like button, guys. SBR 300 Black or 350 Legend?
Well, the 3D Legends main benefits are for states where they require straight walled cartridges for hunting. In that case, the 300 blackout would not be legal in that state to be able to use for hunting because it's not straight wall. Overall, I like the 300 blackout better for many reasons. But the 300 Legend, 350 Legend was put out there for a specific reason. Again, it's for those states that can only use straight wall cartridges for hunting in the states.
Everybody keeps hitting or asking about your pumpkin mirror.
Oh, that's a UFO Journey to Planet Pumpkin.
That was like all I could find for him. That's not his favorite kind. He likes the Shipyard. It's because you have that bright light over there.
Yeah.
His favorite is the Shipyard,
Yeah.
and it's the headless horseman one that's on there. It's like the weirdest shortages that we've, I'm sure everybody has them everywhere, but like this year you can't get pumpkin beer, and like I'm literally I brought this home. I was like, I don't know this brand, but it was the closest thing I could find. So. Sorry, I'm trying to get through some of the chatter. Was the celebrated modularity of the AR-10, AR-15 design part of the original design intent, or was it just good luck?
No, I was really that came long after. Obviously when Stoner developed it, it was designed as a single rifle that was 20-inch barrel. It wasn't even thought of as a carbine. At that time there was no modularity. I mean, this was a brand new concept. I don't really think the modularity came probably until the 80s, the late 80s, is when we started seeing the different calibers pop up. And then, of course, it really hit after the assault and band sunset. That's when it really went crazy with all the different manufacturers coming out and updating it. That's when I think when it really went nuts.
We also have 2 items for sale on smallarmsolutions.com. I can't go into specifics on them, but you can head over to smallarmsolutions.com, and there's 2 different listings, a post about those. One even has a reduced price on it, and go check them out. It supports the channel, and I think you'll like them. What is your opinion on 308 with a barrel under 16 inches as far as range and performance?
I don't think I want to go below 16 inches, period, with the 308. I've shot quite a bit. I've shot to 13.5. The biggest thing is you lose a lot of, you have a lot of unburned propellant. So you're not getting the velocity, therefore not getting the terminal performance that you are, with the cartridge designed for. I got thousands of rounds out of LMT's 13.5. Within a few hundred yards, it's just as accurate as can be. It's fine. But again, you're losing a lot of velocity. 16-inch is fine. Ideal is 18, but certainly, I don't think you're going to gain much going under 16 inches with it.
Leon says no banquet beer.
I actually just had one before this. She was
drank one before this.
Yeah.
God, that must have been quick. No, again, like he loves banquet in bottles, but one store had only the cans, and then I went to another store tonight and happened to find him bottles. So,
that light beer for pussies.
Cobra Kai.
I'm just watching that next one.
Yeah. What? Didn't you say that comes out like New Year's Eve?
Yes, it does.
See, he's not going to be with me on New Year's Eve because he's going to be watching Cobra Kai.
Nope.
LE 6940 serial verified 2014 per Colt Laser engraved rolls, question mark. Is that common?
Well, the 2014 time period. Um, wow, I didn't think they were laser engraved 2014. I know they switched over to the M4 lower receivers probably around 2011, maybe 2012. I think it was on that time period when they switched over to M4 and got rid of the law enforcement carbine lower receivers. But I have to look into when they started with the laser engraving. But I thought that was a lot more recent than that.
I thoroughly enjoy your channel. Very informative. I started with your M4 and the Mark 12 videos and branched out from there. Love your style and keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Yeah,
I wanted to read that because I want, he needs to have that sometimes.
Rarely, let myself up on the internet or anything, but I did just for hell the other night.
You did?
Yeah, and I went on there was this M14 guys that were really coming after me. Like I was an idiot and everything and didn't understand it and all that. And I was just really, I had to laugh because these guys are trying to understand what do you think it would be like with your lovely M14 to be caught in an ambush in the middle of the jungle in the Central Highlands when you're being shot by a whole platoon of guys with a full automatic AK-47s and you have your single, your semi-automatic only M14. How are you gonna survive that ambush? And these guys are all caught up on these one shot, one kill things that the opportunity didn't even exist. And of course, you weren't in Vietnam, you didn't know what you're talking about, and this and that. It was just really interesting listening to these guys talk back and forth, trying to to decredit me when they don't even get what I'm talking about.
But they're always trying to do
But
that.
it was interesting.
Hey Thomas, thank you for buying a ticket. I saw your name today when I did tickets today. And Sean too, thank you for buying tickets. And Adnan, I saw you bought tickets too.
Thank you all.
I remember some of you guys when I'm putting them in there. Kevin on Donor Box, thank you, Kevin. Is the recoil spring on the AR carbine supposed to, quote, solid stack at full recoil travel, or is the rubbish bumper on the buffer supposed to contact the rear of the receiver extension? When the spring does solid stack, what can be adjusted to prevent that? I have milled cutaway slots in the receiver extension and stock to view the inside of the receiver extension.
The buffer should strike before the spring should never go to full stack on it. If it's doing that, then you generally have the wrong buffer in there. You have a rifle instead of a carbine. The whole point of that bumper in the back is for the bumper to hit the back of the receiver extension to rebound to go forward. So you should never have your stack before the buffer hits the back, ever.
Yes, Thomas, I do have one tonight. It's been a long week. Heather needed some wine, although I'm already starting to feel it, half a glass, and I'm on an empty stomach. Are you familiar with the Agent Defense bolt and how do they hold up long term? Oh, look, he's got props.
Yes, I am familiar with it.
I just love how you just pull that out of nowhere. It's like these questions were planned for the evening.
I've had it for a little while. I haven't had a chance to use it, but I've actually been waiting, and it's going to be coming up next week. If those of you guys are probably familiar with Young Manufacturing makes the chrome-plated bolt carriers that I'm extremely fond of. Well, that company who bought them also owns the same company who does that. So now they're doing a chrome-plated version of that bolt. Well, I'm going to be testing one of their chrome-plated carriers with a chrome-plated version of that in my LMT or my Centurion Arms rifle that I use for testing, just testing different optics and whatnot. And we're going to see. It looks like a very good design. The shame of it is with it, they've corrected one issue, but they didn't go after any of the other issues, the extraction issues and whatnot. So I do want to see certainly how strong the cam pin is. I've seen no real testing on it that shows how it holds up versus anything else. Right now, to my knowledge, it is strictly a commercial product. There's been no testing for military use. It has some similarities to what Knights did by using a thinner cam pin and leaving more material on there, except the only difference is they left the bottom solid where Knights still left the bottom open. It's very interesting on paper. How it is in the real world, only time's going to tell.
Thomas has rum and Coke, and Andy just finished his first margarita. Here. Cheers.
Oh. Salute.
Salute. I got to explain everything to him. He's 6 years older than me. He doesn't understand these things. Oh, it's been a long week. I did this one right.
Yes.
Yeah, the wine's starting to hit me. And you gotta stop hitting the computer. Oh, that's nice. Next one's on me. Love my LMT based upon your recommendation.
Hope you guys enjoyed the LMT video we just did. That was extremely thorough. I mean, hell, I was talking to Carl Lewis about it the other day. I told him if we put commercials,
thorough.
if we put commercials in there, you would actually have a hour-long documentary.
That one almost killed me. I mean, it literally almost killed me. It was like almost 40 minutes long, and then you guys are going to see some longer videos coming out too. In addition to that, I think that one was my last one that I finished. He wanted that one to go up first, but I was hitting these half-hour long videos. Like the one that's coming up tomorrow, you are getting is almost half an hour. The CZ Bren versus the dogs are fighting down here. Sorry, the CZ Bren versus the Scar, and then we have one later toward the end of the month that I have scheduled. That's like the 30th, and that one is on the Wyndham. And that's a revisit. But these are long videos. I haven't heard much about the SP6920. Is it just a civilian marketed version of the LE6920? And thoughts on the Colt M203 37mm?
Well, first, the SP6920 was transition from the elimination of the match target series and going towards a new series for commercial guns that had the band features, which in turn was the Sporter 6920. But the reality was people wanted those guns to say M4 on there. So once Colt finally put M4 on there, they got rid of these, the SP6920. It went to the M4, which eventually turned out CR9. Now, for as far as the Colt Gray launcher, that wasn't made by Colt. It was made by LMT, 37mm Gray launcher. It was something that you'd be able to purchase without having any NFA because, it's not 40mm. 40mm would be NFA. 37mm was not. So you'd be able to purchase it without having to go through an FFL or any of that kind of stuff. I've got one right up behind me here, which is an LMT. And I haven't done anything with it because I have a hard time getting 37mm ammunition. So at some point, if I ever can get my hands on 37mm ammunition, we'll do a review on it. But the launcher is absolutely gorgeous, but unfortunately, it's the wrong caliber.
I don't want to know about the recently developed, quote, Honey Badger 9mm ammunition by Black Hills. How well will they function in a PCC pistol carbine, caliber carbine, or is it possibly in the Select Fire submachine gun?
Well, I can tell you, I have not used them in PCCs. I have used them in pistols and with 100% reliability. So unfortunately, I can't answer that because if you look at the price of that ammunition, it's just expensive. What little of it I've had, I've only shot through pistols. That is an idea for next year. Next time I talk to Jeff Hoffman, I'll see if I can get him to send me a few hundred rounds of that, and we'll try and put it through my Scorpion, my Colt Pattern, my MPX, and we'll see how they work in the PTCs.
Chris says he loves us. Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Can you
you.
recommend a tool that the average person can source to stake the bolts on a gas block for a free floated setup? Dimpling, in my opinion, is not sufficient enough.
Say that one more time.
Can you recommend a tool? Is my accent getting a little too thick for you?
No.
He is a Yankee, so he can't understand that thick drawl. It comes out a little bit more when I've been drinking too.
Tell you what.
Tell you what. Can you recommend a tool that the average person can source to stake the bolts on a gas block for a free floated setup? Dimpling, in my opinion, is not sufficient
Stake
enough.
the bolt on the gas block. Well, you stake the bolt on the carrier key. The carrier key is there's a tool that's put out by Brownells. There's two of them that can be used for that. For as far as the gas block, you don't stake that. Basically, you either well, I guess you could stake it if you chose. That would be it'd be by hand. I've never seen any kind of a tool for that. But that's why I'm more of a drill and pin type person myself, and also stick a drill in there and look at an indentation in there once you have it set, so you can put a set screw into it so it can't move.
Kevin on DonorBox, thank you, Kevin. How is the bolt catch roll pin installed in a production environment? Is the L-shaped pilot slave pin used to align the bolt catch with a spring and plunger in place?
Basically, you have a fixture. You set the receiver on there. And in the bottom, a pin comes up. It holds everything in alignment. And then there's a hydraulic press there's a pin there, and it just goes right down into it. That's how it's done at Colt. I'm not sure how it's done in other places, but it's all done with fixtures. And again, that's most manufacturers, especially like Colt, they like to use fixtures because they can guarantee everything's done the same way every time. And that's how you get quality, is doing things the same way every time. But that's how it's done at the factory. It's not done by hand. It's done by a fixture with a hydraulic press that pushes that pin down.
I just want to say that your hand movements and your sound effects are like really professional. Like,
You should try talking to her. If this woman here, you think she was Italian, but if you were actually to bind her hands, she couldn't talk.
I think that's a lot of women, right? Like,
Not like you. You are much more.
The wine is hitting my soul. It was much needed. I was referring to the collaboration between Colt and Arms Unlimited for the N203 37 millimeter. Love the channel and the content.
Well, I'm not sure about Arms Unlimited, but I don't know if you know, but Colt doesn't make those M203s. Those are all made by LMT. Colt hasn't made a grade launcher there since before I was there. They shut down. That was like 2008. They shut down the line long before. So all those grade launchers were made by LMT, and put Colt's name on it. So Colt hasn't made those. Those are all LMT, regardless of whose name's on it. LMT is the only major manufacturer right now who's still making the military grade M203s, whether it's 37 millimeter or 40 millimeter.
Thomas says, "Go buy us some wine and water for." Thank you, Thomas.
Thank
He
you.
will be
And I
probably
will be.
getting. See that face? He's a pretty sweet guy unless he's hungry. He's not so sweet. Do you think the high prices on the pre-2011 Colt M4s are worth what people are asking?
It depends on if you're a purist. Now, the last video I did where I talk about the 6920 versus the CR 6920, a lot of people will say, well, we don't give a shit. We just want a quality gun. We don't care what it says. Those of us who buy Colt for a reason, and it's because of all those markings. For me, I'll spend an extra $500 to get one of the pre ones that were done with all the proper, because that's why I would buy a Colt, is I want that. The shooter, there's plenty of guns out there that I think make a better gun than Colt, where I would buy. The reason I would buy a Colt would be because I want them to have those parts marked in a specific way, because they're the only ones that can do it. So to a purist like myself who buys Colt for a specific reason, absolutely it's worth it. To those of you who just want to buy a gun just to shoot and you really don't care, no, it doesn't matter. But again, for me, if I was to look at a old 6920 versus a CR 6920, I would spend the extra money for the early one. And if I was looking at a CR 6920 versus say an LMT or versus a LWRC or anybody else's, I'd buy somebody else's other than the Colts, because now there's nothing special about it. It's a basic carbine. There's other guys out there who are making guns that are more updates. They're making better barrels or cold hammer forged barrels. I'd rather buy that if I'm not, if that's what I'm going to do.
What are the preferred mounting methods for the 100-gram enclosed emitter red dot sights on pistols? Most mounting solutions are only rated for the 40-gram open emitter red dot sights.
See that? I have to tell you, unfortunately, Kevin, I can't answer that. I've never used anything other than with the cup, what's come with it. I've never seen any specifications that were over this. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that. Every red dot I've ever put on the optic, it says torque it down to this ratio, use Loctite. I've done that. I've never had anything come loose.
Getting into the AR platform, would your armor's manual be good to start with, or would you suggest another book for a newbie to learn from?
My manual is designed for law enforcement and military. It's designed for mil-spec rifles that are combat rifles. It's not a how-to build book where you're going to be able to look at all the different parts that are out there and all the different handguards. It's designed specifically for military grade force. If you were to go buy,
but it's troubleshooting.
Yes, if you were to go buy a standard M4, LA6920, for instance, that manual would take you through everything you ever have to do with it. If you want to start adding different handguards and things like that, you're gonna have to get the information from the manufacturers to install that. However, my manual will tell you all the troubleshooting. It will tell you all the torque ratios. It will tell you all the
See,
the military type stuff. But those specific parts, for instance, like the handguards and whatnot, that's you have to have other information for that. Of course, if you're going to be putting in new bolt catches, new stock assemblies, that's pretty irrelevant. It all goes together the same way.
so just a little backstory on the Armor's Manual. Chris has written numerous manuals for Colt, LMT, LWRCI, and other smaller firearms companies. When we started Small Arm Solutions, which was not for YouTube, it was started 10 years back, maybe even 11. I think I've lost count. We were doing a lot of armor schools when we were up in New York, and it was more military law enforcement geared towards that. And he wrote the Armor's Manual for them. And so everybody that attended a course received a copy of the Armor's Manual. And back then they were not bound like that. They were just, they were like it was like a handed out printout. I had them spiral bound because it wasn't for the masses. It was just for guys coming into the class.
Also at that time with law enforcement, you have to understand, they were buying complete guns from Colt or LMT or somebody else. They may have put different stocks on them or different backup sights or maybe even a different handguard, but the overall gun was not changed. Everything was to stay the same, because how can we guarantee those guns are going to work? You leave them the way that they came from the factory. You don't mess around with different trigger assemblies. You don't mess around with different bolts and things like that. You leave them, because also the fact is, if something was to go wrong in a law enforcement setting, was that gun modified? And then you can say, well, no, the gun was modified. You're going to go back to Colt and say your gun didn't work. Well, they're you're going to send a gun that made Colt, and I'm going to say, this is not how we did it. This is not one of our barrels. This is not that. So we try to keep everything that makes a difference in a gun's function, leave it alone to the factory specifications. So if it doesn't affect the way that it works, that it functions, again, stocks, handguards, slings, optics, have at it. But when it comes to everything that's inside that system, leave it alone. And that's how my manual wasn't designed for someone to build some custom race gun. It was designed to maintain these weapons to a degree that these rifles will work in any environment, whether it be for law enforcement or military.
So I took it 5 years ago and made it Amazon publishing. And so it is available on Amazon. Those links are in the description boxes of our videos. I do now have a link for signed copies of the Armor's Manual on smallarmsolutions.com. I would just ask that if you order it through us, Amazon would probably be around the same time. I think they print them to order. But it does take a little bit longer if it comes through the website, just because I don't usually keep a lot on hand, just because I can't afford to buy a lot. I usually order several based on orders, and then I order like a few extra, and then those are gone. So just bear with me. If you did order online, it may take a little bit longer for it to go, but I do have a link now for signed manuals on there. And it is a great manual, and everybody loves it. Nelson on DonorBox, thank you, Nelson. He said your channel is great. It forced me to buy too many guns. Sorry. I just picked up a Robinson XCRL from the factory. They are swamped due to 4 videos dropping all at once, and they specifically named SAS and said thanks.
Yes.
Where's our check? Tell me that.
I sent one of my uppers back to him because I had one of the old key mods, and I wanted the newer M-lock. So I sent back my key mod to get an M-lock from him. And then I'm having him custom make me the screws that go to the rail sections. So you shorten the screws down so you can pull the barrels in and out without having to take out. Most of the M-lock guns, like the LMTs, you have to take all the attachments off so you can pull the barrels out, because those M-lock screws stick out too far. You can't pull the barrels out. But Alex is a freaking awesome guy. He really is.
And Nelson says Heather is a legend. You read that, Chris?
Absolutely.
And congratulations on your anniversary. We appreciate both of you. Thank you so much, Nelson. I mean, I guess it is a pretty big accomplishment. I mean, 21 years in itself is an accomplishment, being married.
Especially to me.
I've been married since I was 10. Especially to me, to work together too. That's like, yeah, there's got to be. You know what saved us is when our offices split. Having separate offices was what saved us. We used to have one gigantic living room that was converted into the SAS space. and it was a nightmare. He would be like hammering and fixing a gun, and I would be trying to edit videos.
Complications came. I stopped traveling. You know, for nearly a 10-year time period, I was
The
gone.
dogs are fighting.
60% of the year.
Stop.
I was working for Colt or LMT or working with Otis. I was traveling all over the world, and then of course when we stopped that, and then absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, somebody asked about that
Yeah, and
last
then we
week.
were then now I'm home all the time. She gets sick of me because
I got so used to him being gone that you just start to.
It's like that old country song, that "How can I miss you if you won't go away?"
Are you like giving me a hint?
No, not at all.
I feel like it's a hint. Centurion Arms coming out with new guns that you know of. They've been out of stock on everything for a long time.
Let me explain why this is, and you're going to see this with all the companies right now. First off, we have a major shortage of materials. There's a major shortage of forgings right now. I know several larger manufacturers who are having a hard time getting forgings to do various things. A lot of the specialized type stuff, like Brownells, the retro series and stuff, they can't get forgings of these specialized things because the companies who are doing forgings, they're making all their money just doing regular old M4 forgings right now. So now you have to look at buying power. Well, you say you have a company the size of Colt or Stig or Ruger or something like that. They're able to buy extremely large quantities, where a smaller company like Centurion, they don't have that buying power. So those companies are going to be going with the larger companies who can pay more money and take larger numbers than the smaller companies. So Centurion, for instance, they have a harder time getting barrels, getting all their materials that they need. So that's where a lot of that comes from. Is you have a bottleneck right now with them being able to get materials to do it. It's not that they're not working. He's bringing new machines in there all the time because he's trying to bring more of this work in house. But being able to get the barrel steel, the aluminum, the forgings, also so he can machine this stuff out. That's where a lot of the bottleneck is coming. He's got lots of their stuff that he wants to do, but he's got orders for stuff that he has currently right now that he's trying to fill.
I think it's like everything,
and that's everywhere right now.
Everything.
I mean, I talked to one manufacturer.
I can't even get my kids Lunchables.
Like, I talked to one manufacturer.
Even those are out of stock.
They've got hundreds of rifles being held up because they can't get ejection port dust covers. So can you imagine having, say 200 rifles sitting on racks that you can't ship just because you don't have dust covers for them? That's really what's going on right now.
Would the government profile barrel on a mid-length have the same barrel issues as the carbine system when it comes to sustained fire and accuracy?
Mm-hmm. The location where the pressure peaks has nothing to do with where the gas system is. It's basically the normal location is on a carbine system. A gas system right behind where the gas block is the hottest part of the barrel. If you had a mid-length on there, it would still be the exact same system. The change in the gas system is going to give you more reliability because you're going to have more dwell time. It's going to stay locked longer, so you have easier extraction. So your reliability is going to come through having easier extraction. But for as far as barrel heats up, it doesn't matter what the gas system is. Once that barrel reaches that transformation, the 12 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, once it reaches that, the barrel's going to go.
Jason said there's a Lunchable shortage here too. It's like it's the weirdest thing. I mean, if you're not like a parent, you probably wouldn't notice that stuff. But like when all the Lunchables are wiped out and all the juice boxes, and it's like there's tons of stuff that's just out. It's like it's just the most weird, random things too. Like I would never think there'd be a run on Lunchables of all things. Yeah, it's just everywhere. Food in this industry, everywhere. Yeah. The Dumb Gun Collector says, "Love you guys."
Well, thank you so much.
Looking for a good Grindle barrel manufacturer. Any ideas?
I have a Aero Precision on my. It's the MGI Hydra. And I think I have another one that's a Brownells in both sub MOA barrels, and they're not going to break the bank. Well,
thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for everybody who entered the raffle. Congratulations to Sunday Rodriguez for winning. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we will see you the first week in November. Hope you have a happy Halloween, and see us then.
Thank you very much. You guys take care. Talk soon.